Ready to get our hands a little soapy.
I am. Always up for a good deep dive, especially when it's about something most of us use every single day.
Right. I mean, who doesn't love a good bar of soap? But I'll be honest, I never really stopped to think about what goes into making it.
It's definitely one of those things you kind of take for granted.
Exactly. Until you stumble across a resource like RoleCatcher. They've got this awesome guide to the soap maker career path, and let me tell you, it's way more complex than I ever imagined.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
It's not just about mixing up some fragrant ingredients.
So no more picturing those little shops with the bubbling cauldrons and the shelves full of colorful soaps?
Well, that's the artisanal side. We're talking industrial scale production here. Huge factories, sophisticated machinery.
The real deal.
Precisely. And that's what RoleCatcher really emphasizes, the technical precision required to be a soap maker in a large-scale plant. It's all about chemistry, formulas, and making sure every batch is absolutely perfect.
Sounds intense.
It can be. Think about it. Even a tiny miscalculation could throw off an entire batch, potentially costing a company a lot of money.
Yikes. So no pressure, right? Okay, so walk me through this. What kind of skills are we talking about? What does a soap maker actually do all day?
Well, for starters, you've got to be comfortable working with industrial-grade equipment. We're talking massive mixers, vats that heat and cool the mixtures at specific temperatures.
It's a far cry from my grandmother's kitchen, that's for sure.
And then there's the whole quality control aspect. Soap makers are responsible for testing each batch, making sure the pH levels are correct, the viscosity is just right.
Making sure it's actually, clean.
Exactly. It's all about consistency, safety, and meeting those industry standards. It's a big responsibility.
So you're not just a chemist, you're a quality control expert too.
Pretty much. And don't forget the machinery aspect. Soap makers need to be able to operate and troubleshoot all that equipment I mentioned earlier.
So a bit of a mechanic thrown in there as well.
Exactly. You've got to be good with your hands, good at problem solving.
Wow, and I thought making soap was all about smelling nice fragrances all day. This is way more involved than I imagined.
Definitely more than meets the eye. And there's one more crucial aspect that RoleCatcher highlights.
Okay, what's that?
Teamwork.
Really? So it's not just you and a giant vat of soap suds?
Not at all. Soap makers often work in teams, coordinating production schedules, troubleshooting problems that come up on the line.
I bet there are always some surprises in a fast-paced environment like that.
You're telling me. Which is why communication is key.
Makes sense. So being able to collaborate effectively is crucial. Okay, so we've talked about the skills, the equipment, the teamwork. But what about the actual work environment? I'm picturing a big, loud factory floor.
You're not far off.
Okay, so tell me more. What's it actually like to work in a soap manufacturing plant? Give me the inside scoop.
Well, think less spa-like serenity and more well-oiled machine.
Okay, I think I can picture that.
It can be noisy with all the machinery and the activity, and safety is absolutely paramount. There are strict protocols in place to protect workers from potential hazards.
Makes sense. You're working with chemicals, heat.
Exactly. So you have to be comfortable in that kind of environment, alert, focused, and always following those safety procedures.
And it takes a certain kind of person to thrive in that setting, right? Someone who's not afraid of a little noise and bustle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to be able to tune out the distractions and focus on the task at hand.
And probably someone who likes things a certain way, right? Like precise and organized.
Just spot on. Precision is key in this line of work. But it's not just about following instructions to the letter.
There's got to be some problem solving involved too, right?
All the time.
Ugh,
Equipment can malfunction. A batch might not mix properly.
Oh, I bet.
A good soap maker needs to be able to think on their feet, troubleshoot issues, and keep that production line moving.
So you've got to be quick on your feet too. Sounds like there's never a dull moment. But, okay, let's say someone's intrigued, they're not afraid of hard work, and they love the idea of creating something that everyone uses. Where do they even begin?
Well, like a lot of manufacturing jobs, it's often about working your way up.
Okay, so you start at the bottom, learn the ropes. What does that look like in the soap making world?
RoleCatcher lays out a pretty clear progression path. You'd likely begin as a production assistant, maybe even an apprentice soap maker.
An apprentice. I love that. So you're really learning from the ground up.
Exactly. You'd be assisting the more experienced soap makers, getting comfortable with the equipment, really mastering those safety procedures.
Paying your dues, getting your hands dirty, or should I say soapy?
Exactly. And once you've proven yourself, you might move up to a junior soap maker position.
Okay, so more responsibility, more hands-on experience. What does that entail?
At that level, you might be operating some of the machinery on your own, troubleshooting minor problems, maybe even training newer apprentices.
Oh, so you get to pass on that hard-earned knowledge. I like it. So what does it take to reach, like, soap boss level?
Soap boss, I like that.
Yeah.
According to RoleCatcher, that's typically a senior soap maker or a production supervisor role.
Okay, so you've officially made it. What are you in charge of at that point?
Well, you're not just making the soap anymore. You're overseeing the entire production process, managing a team of soap makers, making sure everything runs smoothly and efficiently.
Wow, you've really worked your way up from those early days as an apprentice. But let's say you've been diligently climbing that soapy ladder of success. You've got the experience, you've got the skills. How do you actually convince someone to hire you? What do you need to know to nail that job interview?
Well, I'm guessing I really love long, high showers. Probably won't cut it.
Probably not, although it couldn't hurt to be passionate about soap, right?
Definitely. But in all seriousness, RoleCatcher gives some really great interview tips for aspiring soap makers.
Laid on me.
First and foremost, be prepared to articulate what sparked your interest in this field.
So, more than just liking the way soap smells.
Way more. Think about what truly intrigues you about the process, the science behind it, even the impact of creating a product that so many people use.
Show them you're not just here for the bubbles.
Exactly. They also emphasize the importance of being able to explain your knowledge of quality control procedures.
Right, because you're responsible for making sure that soap is safe and consistent.
Absolutely. Interviewers want to see that you understand the importance of precision and safety in this kind of environment.
So, knowing how to troubleshoot a bubbly mishap is probably a good thing to have in your back pocket. What else? Any other words of wisdom from RoleCatcher?
One more thing, and this is crucial for any technical field. Really stay up to date on industry trends.
Okay, so keep learning, keep growing. What kind of trends are we talking about here?
Oh, all sorts. New technologies, sustainable ingredients, even automation. It's a constantly evolving world, and employers want to see that you're invested in keeping up.
So you can't rest on your soap laurels. You've got to keep lathering up on knowledge. I like it. Now, RoleCatcher isn't just a career guide, is it? They also have some pretty cool AI-powered tools to help job seekers.
They do, and these tools are really designed to give you an edge in what can be a really competitive job market.
Okay, tell me more. What can their AI do?
Well, one of their most impressive features is the AI-powered resume builder. You just upload your information, and their algorithms get to work, tailoring your resume to specific job descriptions.
Oh, wow. So it's highlighting the skills and experience that are most relevant to each potential employer.
Precisely. It's like having a personal resume writer in your back pocket.
That's amazing.
Mm.
Okay, what else can their AI do?
Well, it can also analyze job descriptions and identify any skills gaps you might have.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's like, hey, you might want to brush up on your knowledge of this particular type of machinery.
Exactly. That way you're not caught off guard in an interview.
It's like having a crystal ball for your career. That's incredible. Okay, so we've covered resumes, skills gaps. What about practice interviews? Can their AI help with that too?
Absolutely. They offer these AI-powered practice interviews that simulate real-life interview scenarios.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
You can answer questions that are specific to the soap making industry, and you get personalized feedback on your performance.
So it's like having a personal career coach in your pocket.
Exactly. The AI analyzes everything, your responses, your tone.
And if you're doing a video interview, it can even analyze your body language. That's wild.
It's really impressive technology, and I think it speaks to RoleCatcher's mission. They're really trying to empower job seekers with the tools and resources they need to succeed.
I love that. You know, it's really making me rethink my whole perspective on soap making. It's so much more complex and high tech than I ever realized.
It's definitely more than meets the eye.
Okay, so we've covered the factory floor, the skills, the interview process. But before we wrap things up, I have one final kind of big picture question for you.
I'm all ears.
We've talked a lot about the human element of soap making. But what about the robots? You know, automation. How do you think that's going to impact the future of soap making, especially for those aspiring soap bosses out there?
It's a great question and something that RoleCatcher actually addresses. I mean, you can't talk about the future of manufacturing without talking about automation. Right?
Yeah.
And the soap industry is definitely not immune to those changes.
Right. So are we talking like robot soap makers taking over the factories?
Well, not quite like that. But we are already seeing more automated systems being incorporated into the process.
Okay, so for what kinds of tasks? Give me an example.
Well, for starters, things like mixing ingredients, those huge vats we talked about, those can be automated.
Wow, so you don't even need a human to handle those massive quantities anymore.
In some cases, no. And it doesn't stop there. Cutting the soap bars into those perfect shapes, even packaging the final product. A lot of that can be automated these days.
Wow. So where does that leave human soap makers? Are their days numbered?
Not at all. And that's something RoleCatcher really emphasizes. While automation might change certain tasks, it's unlikely to fully replace human workers in the soap-making industry.
Okay, that's reassuring. I mean, I'm all for efficiency, but I'm not sure I trust a robot to get my lather just right.
Exactly. There's still a very real need for that human touch.
So if a robot's not going to be the soap boss anytime soon, where do humans still have the upper hand?
Well, for one, human oversight is still absolutely crucial.
Right, because someone needs to make sure those machines are doing their jobs properly.
Exactly. Soap makers will still be needed to supervise those automated systems, troubleshoot any problems, make sure everything's running smoothly.
And make sure the quality is still top notch. I mean, that's got to be a human job, right? Checking for consistency, the right scent.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about the more creative aspects of the job.
Hmm.
Developing new soap formulas, experimenting with different ingredients, responding to changes in consumer demand. Those are all things that still require human ingenuity and expertise.
That's a great point. So it's not really about humans versus robots, but more about humans and robots working together.
Exactly. I think the future of soap making is about finding that right balance, leveraging technology to improve efficiency and precision, but still valuing the irreplaceable skills and knowledge that humans bring to the table.
I love that. It's like a perfect partnership. Well, you've definitely given me a whole new appreciation for what goes into that bar of soap sitting in my shower. I'll never take it for granted again.
That's what we like to hear. Next time you're lathering up, just remember the teamwork, the technology, and yeah, even a little bit of AI magic that went into making that happen.
Absolutely. It's been a fascinating deep dive into the world of soap making. And who knows, maybe we've inspired a future soap boss or two out there. Thanks for listening.